So we got some new reveals that popped up that were not shown at Wonderfest and were not shown at New York Comic Con. Some new Transformers War for Cybertron Siege toys. Now we're going to jump into one of them right now. And the first one that we're going to talk about, we kind of knew about it already. We were shown a
silhouette, I think.
A silhouette, some artistic looking images of it before we really knew what we were going to get, in that of a Decepticon Barricade. Now, Barricade has always been one of those characters that throughout the history of Transformers, he made this version of Barricade really made his debut in the 2007 movie. And what I mean by this version, I mean we never really had a Generation 1 Barricade per se that was a police car. But Barricade is one of those characters that when you really pull it back in Transformers history and Hasbro's history, it has a weird way of how things came about it. There was the Cops toy line back in, I believe it was 1986, 1987. There was a character named Barricade. It was a human character that was on the good guy team. When the Cops toy line folded, Hasbro ended up with all these extra trademarks that they had, they weren't really using. So they slapped the Barricade name onto a MicroMaster. That MicroMaster was a pink and yellow and light blue Formula One. It was kind of ugly looking. And that literally was Barricade for the longest time. You fast forward all the way to the Energon series, and the character of Onslaught, which was the centerpiece of the Bruticus Maximus combiner, they couldn't get the name Onslaught at that time, so they just had, hey, we got that Barricade name still kicking around, so they just threw it on that for now as like a temporary name for Onslaught. Well, thank God we have Onslaught now today, and he's actually called Onslaught in his trademarks and everything. So the name Barricade really didn't pop up again until the 2007 movie, and this was a huge twist in that, like, hey, we're going to have a police car Transformer in the 2007 Michael Bay movie, but it's not going to be Prowl, it's going to be a Decepticon, and he's going to be evil, and we're going to slap that Barricade trademark on it. And he was, just like many characters in the past that come around, and even though the name has existed in Transformers lore before, or the characters existed in Transformers lore before, a certain character will come around and kind of change things up and then become the main version of that character. Best example of that being Bulkhead. There was a Bulkhead before Transformers Animated and Transformers Prime, but when that Bulkhead came out, that became the association.
That was the definitive one, basically.
When someone says, "Hey, I like Bulkhead," you think that Bulkhead.
Yeah.
You don't think the Energon character. Same thing with Lug Nuts to Lug Nut. There was a character named Blackout that was a MicroMaster. Same thing. He was a MicroMaster combiner base. No one really, when people think Blackout, they think the Michael Bay character.
Yeah.
And and it go on and on. I mean, the character of Strong Arm from Transformers Robots in Disguise 2.0, people are very quick to forget about the Strong Arm, Omnicon character from Energon. They just remember Strong Arm, the female Autobot character. So Barricade is a prime example of that. And this is really...
I was going to ask, is this the first time we get a character that kind of like made a life of its own in the Bayverse coming into the main line?
Well, I guess
I'm trying to think of any other characters
if you're saying mainline, like to give an example, like there was a lot of Bayverse characters that ended up becoming in other stuff. Best example of that being a character like Blackout being in Transformers Animated. Like he was a movie character first, and then but if you want to call Animated was a main line at one point. I think what you really want to establish is has there ever been a Barricade that's been in the Generation 1 universe from Michael Bay version? There was. The funny thing is when they were doing that Transformers MMORPG that never worked out in the end, this was around, I want to say, 2011. The Transformers Collector Club, fun publication, had their version of a Barricade that was kind of G1-ish, I guess is the best way to put it. They took one of the Transformer Prime molds and they just turned it into Barricade. Okay. So there was an attempt at it. But this is really like the first time that it's like, okay, we're going to take a G1-inspired mold and make a G1-inspired Barricade. Yeah. And this is another example of, I mean, this mold, when you look at it, it's the Prowl mold that's been retooled and remolded to be Barricade. But the reality is that this is clearly what is supposed to be Smokescreen. Everyone's been saying this online when these images broke. And I mean, this is a classic example of, hey, Hasbro has a mold, and they go, well, this is clearly going to be Smokescreen, but we're not going to make it Smokescreen. We're going to make it something else, and you'll buy it because, hey, it's a brand new mold, and then we'll do it in the Smokescreen. I mean, they've done this before in the past. They did it with Energon when they had the Starscream mold, and they're like, well, we're not going to do it in Starscream colors. We're going to do it in other colors, and you'll buy it as that. And then when we do it in Starscream colors, you're going to go, well, damn, now I want it in the Starscream colors. And they did the same thing with Cybertron with the character of Armorhide. It was originally Armorhide, and he was like, clearly, like if you looked at it as a gray prototype, you're like, oh, that's clearly going to be Huffer. But they did it in blue instead. And, you know, then, of course, you got it as Huffer later. So they do that kind of stuff all the time. And it's the same thing here with this one where, I mean, there's the image of the car mode, and you see the two guns that are on the top of the car mode.
Yeah.
But if you left those guns on the top of the car mode and you transformed it, it's Smokescreen with his shoulder cannons.
Okay.
Like it's like we have the robot mode shot here, but it's the gun like combined together to make one gun. But you have the tabs that go on the shoulders, and you can still see the holes for the shoulder tabs. It's clearly, this is a Smokescreen, a G1 Smokescreen head, a G1 Smokescreen design. But otherwise, in the end, I mean, they're just going to remove that light, that police light on the top, and it's just going to be Smokescreen.
One thing I completely forgot to ask you was, did you translate?
Yes, I did.
The Cybertronian.
This one, unfortunately, has been done before. When we had Streetwise, the MicroMaster, it said police on the side. This is police. Nothing too special this time. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I guess what was it usually say on his car on his side? To enslave and rule?
No, it was instead of to serve and protect, it's to enslave and punish, or something like that.
But I think that'd just be too long to put on the side of the car.
Yeah, it would be too long. They could have done. I don't know. They could have because Cybertronian has numbers too. Maybe put like TF 2007 on the side, a little nod to his.
Or maybe because like he might be like an actual police car before the war happens, because these are all like sieges happening before they come to Earth.
Yeah, it's all pre.
So I mean, like
stuff. So.
Yeah, so it could all be like it could be like his function could be like Cybertronian police or something like that. That's the way I could kind of see it. Maybe
the Michael Bay, not Michael Bay, bite my tongue. The James Roberts comics kind of had their own version of Decepticon police with the DJD, so the Decepticon Justice Division.
Okay.
So I mean, it could be like a kind of a G1 version of that in this micro continuity. But either way, I mean, I dig this. I've always liked the character of Barricade. Just the idea of an evil police officer character has always been interesting. And when Barricade debuted in 2007,
especially was it T2000?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Was it T1000? T2000?
T1000 in Terminator 2. Yeah, the T1000. Like that kind of stuff is always kind of cool. And I mean, it looks nice. I mean, the clear purple on it and everything. I think it'll do the job fine, but I'm pretty sure, like, if anyone who's a betting man is going to look at this and go, yeah, this is totally going to be Smokescreen afterwards.
Yeah.
And I think, if anything, they're going to just get rid of that light bar, and maybe they'll put a better spoiler on the back or something. But otherwise, nothing's going to be changed here in terms of the face sculpt. The face sculpt, 100%, is just Smokescreen. I mean, especially, like, if you're someone who even if you don't own the original G1 toy, even if you don't own the Classics toy or you don't own the Masterpiece, if you owned even the alternators, like it has that.
Oh yeah,
like,
pretty much.
Definitely
the legs on them is definitely alternators.
Yeah, so like this is straight up that, but I dig it. I think it's really cool. There's some images of this on Snackus's blog and on TFW 2005. I dig it. Definitely looking forward to it.